Hello. So, the last video I made, the the power of play, it got a lot more attention than I really expected it to, and I realized that I may have given the wrong impression that you should follow your passion and make a career out of it. That's actually bad advice in my experience. So today I wanted to address that and give a little bit of nuance. But we're going to do that while I'm tattooing. So I have recorded a time lapse of a recent tattoo, and yeah, I thought I'd share. It really boils down to the attention that I got. Some of the responses made me realize that I made creative careers sound very romantic, and they can be, but I'm not a romantic. I made a mistake by understating the importance of being practical with creative careers. So first, I want to make it clear that I'm not a licensed anything except tattoo artist. I'm not a financial advisor or a career counselor. All I have is a life experience, a little bit of mentoring experience with junior artists, and honestly, a whole lot of books. So with that said, I don't necessarily encourage anyone to follow their passion because I actually have a very different view. And this was hard-won wisdom that nearly cost my family everything. It's pretty common advice to follow your passion, and to a very small degree, I actually agree. But to be more precise, I believe in following your curiosities and letting the passion happen. Curiosities become experiments, and passion is the byproduct when you do an experiment that works. But, passion, it doesn't support a family. When my son was born, I actually had a stable job, good credit, and I could have supported my family very comfortably. But I decided to follow my passion because I wanted to be a tattoo artist. So let's backtrack a little bit. Before I had a family, back when I graduated college, I'd actually built a pseudo-successful graphic design business, but that buckled under personal problems at the time. I still had the entrepreneur's bug, so I thought I could make it work again in a different field by avoiding the mistakes I'd made in the past, but honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. I'd completed my apprenticeship years earlier, but never pursued tattooing as a full-time career because, college. And then after that huge gap, my first year of tattooing was filled with disappointment, disillusionment, and depression. I worked pretty insane hours just to make ends barely meet, and I destroyed my credit in the process. Eventually, through a trial by fire for years, I actually made it work. But what I did was not in any way practical. It caused an insane amount of stress for me and my wife and my kids, and I only made it work because of my amazingly supportive wife and this drive to succeed, fueled by grit, which I don't agree with, and some sort of desire to prove them wrong, whoever them may be. What I eventually discovered was actually a much more relaxing path where I relied on referrals from clients. I rejected the whole hustle culture of tattooing, and I got obsessive over my studies and just having fun. So I found where I fit in the market, but it took a lot of practice, patience, and experimentation. So yes, finding work you love is possible, and I would actually argue that it's important. Work you love tends to energize you instead of drain you, so that's something I'm incredibly grateful for. But it still took a lot of time, effort, and in my case, a lot of stress, because I did things the hard way. What I wanted to encourage people to do in my last video was to explore their curiosities and look for work that they love. And I think that's a really important element that gets glossed over. You get paid for work. So I was encouraging people to explore different obsessions and find a calling through trial and error. So find a way to either get passionate about something you can monetize. So, get passionate about your work, or experiment with obsessions and then see who would pay you for those. So you have to find that overlap between money and love, but understand it's going to take time to really find your unique path. Stephen Pressfield, the author of The War of Art and The Ultimate Creative Hard Ass, had to went through trial and error too. So he was a trucker, a migrant farm worker, and he flirted with homelessness before hitting it big with The Legend of Bagger Vance when he was, I believe, 52. Robert Greene, author of Mastery, the Handbook for, I'm sorry, not the Handbook for Evil. It's called The 48 Laws of Power and The Laws of Human Nature. He worked several writing-related jobs in his early life. He worked in a bookstore as a translator and an assistant. And he spent years studying subjects like history, literature, and philosophy, and reading countless books before he started writing articles for magazines, and then published The 48 Laws of Power when he was 39 years old. Stephen King was a high school English teacher who wrote short stories in his spare time. Now, he was a lot younger than Greene and Pressfield when he made it at age 26, but he still had to overcome incredible obstacles before his breakthrough. So his teacher's salary barely supported him and his wife, so he worked in a laundromat and as a janitor to make ends meet. So their stories actually are not common, and neither is mine. But they illustrate a couple of pretty important things. So first, there's real risk involved in putting it all on the line. I don't know how close Greene and Pressfield came to losing everything, but I'm sure they sacrificed something in the process. And I know I came dangerously close to losing everything, and it was not pleasant. The second thing it takes is real experimentation. So I studied studio art, computer science, and graphic design while I flirted with being a tattoo artist. My mediocre apprenticeship, I put tattooing on hold for years, and eventually I made a stupid leap and made it work against the odds. But, I don't regret my decisions. They made me who I am, but I still wouldn't advise anyone else to make the same decisions I did, especially not if you have a family to support. So I've seen and encouraged people to do it the smart way, and it does work. Art can be a viable career path, but you have to approach it with a practical mindset. So you might not be able to eliminate the risk of pursuing a career in a creative field, but you can at least manage it or figure out what your risk tolerance is. So if you're young, single, and free, start building your portfolio and finding clients now. If you're in your 30s with a wife and kids, don't quit your day job, but still start building your portfolio and finding clients on the side. So think about how you can make a transition and manage the risk of a career in the arts. Now, if you have a big safety net that lets you coast for a year, there really isn't that much risk involved. If you can manage your lifestyle and start looking for paid opportunities immediately. So figure out how you could get back to where you are and then go for it. Regardless of what you do, you're going to have to develop skills and learn how to monetize your creativity. And there are countless options, so just do some research into the fields you're interested in. Find out everything you can about getting a foot in the door from people who have real-world experience. Now, this is important because as much as I love learning and I love educators, experience is almost always a better teacher. Experience beats theory every time. So educators will give you a theory that doesn't work in the real world. Even though it works as a thought experiment, reality will always have different plans. But if you take jobs immediately, your experience will actually pay with cash too. So it's all about exploring and seeing what works. Now, I hope this helped shed some practical light on that dimly lit romantic room that I portrayed in my last video. So yes, I do love my career, and I believe in the incredible power of making your work feel like play. But I would recommend leaving one foot firmly planted in reality while you chase your dreams. It actually makes it more likely that you'll succeed. So whether it's a side hustle you're interested in, or you want to make the most of an art career, be prepared to work hard at it. And if you're looking for the mindset to make the work fun, check out The Power of Play, my last video.